Manhattan Institute's greatest contribution to American life is it brought conservatism to town.
Manhattan's unique in a lot of ways. Two that come to mind. First, its location and the fearlessness that reflects. It could have decamped for friendlier territory, but has stayed in a place where its voice is so singular and needed to be heard. And I think, secondly, I've always seen Manhattan as different in its refusal to forfeit the ground of concern for the lives of everyday people.
Well, the Manhattan Institute, great strength has been accuracy. Although it's called conservative, it seems to be another word for accurate.
The difference that Manhattan Institute makes, the value added, is, I think, this profound practicality of its approach. It's always got a problem in mind, and Manhattan Institute scholars address the problem and try to give the best they can based on hard empirical data and research as to the solution to the problem.
It was a place where one could always encounter something that helped you to say, oh yes, of course, that's what I saw, or that's what I was beginning to understand.
The interesting thing about the scholars of Manhattan is that they challenge you, and they cause you to think about things you haven't thought about before. But then I started recognizing that it wasn't just in Manhattan Institute publications, but right from the beginning, Manhattan was looking to speak to a broader audience. So you'd see them in the Journal, or you'd see them in the Post, or you'd see them in the Times, or you'd see them in a general circulation magazine, and there would be, connected with the Manhattan Institute.
There aren't many places that really thoroughly study issues and try to come up with new, innovative solutions. There certainly aren't many in New York City. Manhattan Institute does it consistently with scholars of all stripes, and we're indebted to it.
One of the great things you've accomplished was informing the administration of Rudy Giuliani, which transformed New York City, and New York City is so visible, such a cynosure for the world. It really changed the way policing was done all across the country.
Well, the Manhattan Institute was enormously important to my administration as mayor of New York City, and before I was elected. They were able to put into cogent, powerful arguments conservative thoughts that people in liberal cities weren't allowed to think.
Whether it is energy policy with Robert Bryce, or criminal justice with Heather McDonald, and policing issues, Diane Furthcott-Roth with anything economic, or in Cass with a variety of subjects. I mean, they've gotten very smart people who have been able to talk about things in a way that policymakers could adopt them, adapt them, and promote them and institute them.
Peter Huber taught me a new way to think about the science and the business of an industry, pharmaceuticals, that I was working in and thought I knew well. Nicole Gelinas taught me how to think about financial regulation in this era. George Gilder, through the work Manhattan supported early on, taught us all, I think, a completely different way to understand the economy and its dynamism and what drives human progress.
Peter Huber and Mark Mills were the great exponents of the bottomless well of energy potential. They never believed for a minute that we were anywhere near peak oil.
When I was a Channel 2 reporter, Peter Huber just opened my eyes to junk science and abusive litigation. I couldn't have done my reporting without him, without stealing it from him.
I start my mornings with E21. Go to the computer, look for the email from E21, and it's one of the first things I read.
Every time I read the issue of the City Journal, I get another hero.
Heather McDonald has been, in her demure way, ferocious on a number of important subjects, policing, particularly the criminal justice system and all the rest.
If the byline is Heather McDonald, I read it.
Heather McDonald has just really been the most persistent, eloquent, tenacious voice in that field.
It'd be hard to express the fullness of my admiration for Paul Singer. Justice Brandeis said in a democracy, citizen was the highest office, and Paul Singer is a citizen of the highest caliber.
No one has done more for turning around the city and making possible the turning around of the city than Larry and his colleagues at the Manhattan Institute.
One of the great things about Manhattan is that it is looking to the day that is coming.
Well, I hope for the Manhattan Institute's future that the things that it does, the concerns that it pays deep attention to become habitual for a growing number of people.
It's very important for young leaders in the decades to come to learn individual responsibility. And I think the work of the Manhattan Institute becomes more important.
In the next 40 years, the Adam Smith Society will be in every business school, and finally business school students will be able to say, yeah, capitalism is a good thing. I don't have to be ashamed.
My real wish is for our nation, and that is that the work and the values and the principles that Manhattan embodies as much as any organization I know become an ever larger part of our national debates and the outcome of those debates.
It's a great organization, and the world is better, and the city is better because of it.